my friends, welcome to another Aimless Adventures vlog coming to you from Peach Springs, Arizona today. What might we be doing in Peach Springs other than sitting in a vehicle that hasn't run for many years? As a matter of fact, it's been raining, but my wipers don't work. In 1927, a young woodcutter by the name of Walter Peck, who was working the area over in this area, decided to go for a walk to a poker game. Well, on his way to the poker game, he stumbled and almost fell to his death into a giant hole, which he thought, well, since I don't have the equipment to get down in the hole, I may as well go to the poker game. Now, once Walter got to the poker game, he decided to tell all of his buddies what he had found about this giant hole that almost took him to his impending doom. After riling them up, getting them interested, the following day during the daylight, they decided, hey, what's a better idea than tie a giant rope around a cowboy and lower him down a 150-foot hole to who knows what. Now, once the cowboy reached the bottom of the hole, he picked up his oil lantern, swung it around, looking blindly, and all of a sudden he saw it, a glimmer off the sides of the wall. The cave walls came alive with sparkly goodness. And all he could think was, hey, I must be looking at a giant vein of gold. So what did he do? He went ahead and shipped some off, put it in his sack, gave 3 tugs on the rope, and they lift him up to discover what was in the bag. And then the story got creepier. The cowboy, after showing his wares and his shiny goodness that he brought up, thinking it was gold, sat the boys down and told them of the horror story he had seen. At the 50-foot level on a ledge sat the remains of 2 human beings, skeletal remains, just 50 feet below, sitting on a ledge. But it got even stranger. There was a horse saddle. What happened to Wilbur? Alright, so by this time the townsfolk get a hold of the reports of the remains of the 2 human beings and the horse saddle. They spin the yarn in true Route 66 fashion, and all of a sudden, prehistoric man is in the hole. Well, of course, that's going to bring some people, and it eventually brings some money. Walter had money of his own in mind. He decided at this point, I'm going to buy up the whole area. So he does, thinking he's going to strike gold. So when the assayer's report comes back, Walter is giddy and ready to jump up and click his heels, thinking he's about to be a wealthy man. But much to his chagrin, wah, 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 it was not to be. The only thing they found was iron oxide deposits, otherwise known as rust. So Walter spent a whole bunch of money on a funnel-shaped hole in the ground that contained a bunch of rust. No bueno. Now old Walter, not being a quitter, but more like an entrepreneur, decided, what am I going to do with a giant hole in the ground that contains rust? Well, Walt, what'd you do? Walt said he came up with an ingenious idea to charge people 25 cents, have a rope tied around them, and have them lowered down into the hole. That's a pretty good idea if you can find a volunteer. Now the early tourists to this location, well, here's a depiction of one of them. As you can tell, he's got a rope wrapped around him, and he's got his own lantern. And that was a requirement. You had to bring your own light. And when you got down to the bottom of that pit, you sure as heck did not want that lantern to go out, break, or stray far away from that rope, because you would be in complete and total darkness. I gotta get some gas and get on the road, but there's no handle. Dang it.